There are people outside. People from work are now waiting. Okay. Jai Shri Srisaileesa Dayapatram Deepatyadigunāvam Yadīdrapravanam Vande Ramyajavarnamunim Lakshmīnāthasmarambam Nāyānamam Asmadācārya Paryantām Vande Guruparamparām Yo Nityamacharpadāvajayutyamarma Yāmodasarivaram Citāriyene Asmadgurō Bhagavato Sudhaikasindho Ramanujasya Charanam Pravacye Mahākara Yudhestayāpyūdihi Sarvam Yadev Dhyamena Vahantuyanam Āvyasya Gauraviravam Srimatthadakripuram Pranami Mukha Bhūtam Sahasrabdhi Svayamattanaga Sri Bhaktichara Vasaikara Yogivahavam Bhaktān Priyayupakala Yadīvarasya Srivatparam Pratosmi Nityam. Thank you all, Jai Shri Narayana, for coming to this session. This is going to be the first session on a series called Ramanujamrutham. And as Swamiji's Sankalpam, he made a Sankalpam last month when he was at Melkota to start spreading the message of Swamiji of Srimad Bhagavad Ramanuja Acharya all over the world. It is a very important event, and knowledge sharing has to happen. Only through this process, through spreading his messages to everybody, we can really bring everybody to the awareness of what is Sri Vaishnava, what is equality and everything. And as part of his 1000th-year celebrations, Swamiji has started the project on Ramanuja Sahasrabdhi. He is constructing a huge Ramanuja, 108 feet tall, with a base of 116 feet. So in all, it's going to be around 215 feet tall in Hyderabad. As part of the project, he is requesting all over the world to start spreading the message of Ramanuja everywhere. And as part of that, our small initiative, it's more like how a squirrel has helped Rama in building the bridge. We are doing our small participation, and it's our very small contribution to the whole thing. And as part of this series, we are going to have 18 lectures, and it is always going to be on the third Sunday between 10 and 11:30, and preferably even the location is going to be fixed so that it's easy for people to come here and enjoy this. And it's a good way to understand and learning all about Ramanuja in 1 year is almost impossible. If somebody tries, it's humongously not possible. But this gives a great opportunity. We may not be taking you to the extreme level of understanding Vedanta, but we'll give you some introduction to everything. At least you will get to feel what is Ramanuja. If I can make you feel what is Ramanuja, that is the purpose of this session, these sessions, and certainly that is what we want to achieve. And if with Swamiji's Anugraham and with Dharma's Anugraham, we hope we get everything done correctly. And if there is any mistakes that we make, we also apologize. And we are not experts in everything. It is just our humble start. And regarding Swamiji, Sridharan, most of you in Melbourne, you all know him. I don't have to give any introduction to Sridharji. He works in Deakin University as a professor in accounts and finance. I don't need to really give more about this. I will really leave the thing to Sridharan to start the program. And just some small housekeeping. Please make sure that your mobile phones are off, switched off completely, or at least you are on a flight mode so that it doesn't ring. And we would really recommend, if you don't really text or do any of those Twitter, Facebook, all those kind of activities during this next 1.5 hours, and relax, enjoy. If you want to take notes, feel free. And at the end of session, we are likely to distribute all the notes to everybody. Okay, so if you need the notes, I will give you anyway. Thank you. I'll pass it on to Sridharan.
Ramanuja Sahasrabdhi Srimate Narayanaaya Namaha. The topic for today's discussion is on Ramanujamrutham, Vaikunta Gadhyam. Ramanuja, as we all know, is one of time's most glorified saints, Acharya, Purusha. He is always considered as a pendant in a necklace of pearls. There have been Vaishnava Acharyas prior to him, and there have been subsequently a lot of Vaishnava Acharyas who have followed him. But nevertheless, he is always considered as the pendant in the necklace of pearls of Vaishnava Acharyas. It's not just me, it's not just anyone else who claims this. It's Emperor Shriyapati, Sri Ranganathan himself claims that Ramanuja is my most favorite Acharya, and to him I owe everything, and to him I owe a great amount of great gratitude. Who says this? The Lord himself says this. I owe him a lot. Why? Because he is carrying out what I have been failing to do. God shows that kind of a humility. And if he shows that humility, we all have to follow him. We all have to follow in principle what he is suggesting. Avanudi Divya Leela. It's Emperor's Divya Leela that makes us feel the difficulties of this samsara world. It is very difficult. It's a quagmire. We have got caught into this quagmire. It's a very materialistic world. And in this world, if we have to come out and survive and also ultimately reach the holy feet of God, it is going to be a tough act. And one cannot cross the ocean of this mundane materialistic world unless one has the kripa, the sankalpa of Emperor himself. Emperor tries it. He comes in Param Vyuham Vibhavam Antaryami Archavadara. Hopefully many forms he comes. He transcends. But nevertheless, one of his most favorite approaches to salvage people from the bondage of materialism is through Acharya Purusha. He sends those Acharya Purusha as his representative and make them come over to him ultimately. That's the whole purpose for him. And he tries. Why does he do it? If he can create this world, if he can sustain this world, why should he play the game of trying to leave us in this material world and then ultimately ask us to surrender to him systematically? It's like any other parent. We love our children. We adore our children. We praise our children, even if they do something very small, insignificant. But nevertheless, if they want something that we don't prefer them to do, we still give them an opportunity to engage themselves in whatever endeavor that they want to get into, and then realize the futility of that, and then come back and say, hey dad, hey mom, I've done that, but I don't think that's right. So I need to come back to the way you want me to do. So let me get into this. So we leave them for some time, but we hold them in a very protective zone. We keep an eye over them and let them go through the sufferings and then come back. Why do we do that? Because we are so involved in bringing our children to the righteousness path, the path of righteousness, in a very systematic way. Only if the souls themselves realize the futility, there would be more endeavor, there would be more wholesome approach in reaching God. That's the whole idea. He is just replicating what we do in this material world. right? And Bhagavad Ramanuja, as one of his foremost representatives, Embermanar, as we say in Tamil, Emberman Anar, the one who has become the Lord himself. The Lord praises him as the Lord of the Lords, Embermanar, right? Bhagavad Ramanuja. He had written for us quite a few granthams, 9 precious gems, right? Vedanta Saram, Vedanta Deepam, Vedartha Sangraham, Sri Bhashyam, Gita Bhashyam, Nitya Grantham, and Gadhyam. And Gadhyam, it's written in a prose form, prosaic. And there are 3 Gadhyams. And today, the topic that we have to talk about is on Vaikunta Gadhyam. In the order of these 3 Gadhyams, Vaikunta Gadhyam is actually related as the 3rd. Saranagati Gadhyam, Sriranga Gadhyam, and Vaikunta Gadhyam. In the order, it's the 3rd. But it is very interestingly the most important. And I was so happy and pleased when Sri Rajagopalan Swami came back and asked me and requested if I could do this. I thought it is a tribute, a humble tribute that we are going to make. And Vaikunta Gadhyam actually adorns at the top. Why would that be? Because Panguni Uttaram, in the month of Panguni, Phalguni, Uttaram star, the day. In Srirangam, it's a very, very important event. Sevti Sevai. Emberman and Tayar, we get to see them together. The Divya Dampati Daya. We want their kind of sympathy, their kind of compassion to come through to us. And in seeing them together, it's one of the most glorifying moments for anyone. For anyone. Otherwise, Tayar is a Paditanda Patini, meaning she would never step out of her house. The Divya Sriranga Dhamam and the Sriranga Dham, she would not step out of that place. And if that Tayar is going to be on Sevti Sevai with Perumal, it's going to be adorable for us, for our devotees. When we get to see our mother and father together, we are so happy to see them. When they smile at each other, children really, really love that time. They come to us and say, Mom, Dad, you're both very happy. Can we get something? They are very, very happy. Same is the case here. We as devotees, we as the children of God, we would like to see our mother and father together. And Sevti Seva is very important. On that day, Bhagavad Ramanuja, Acharya, the saint Ramanuja, was no exception. He was a child, but he was a very special child. He was a representative of the father and mother themselves. He comes and begs on our behalf. And he first of all says the Charanagati Gadhyam, tries to provide that symphony of words, trying to characterize the Trivisheshakas. What are those Trivisheshakas? Swarupa, Rupa, Guna Visheshaka. Swarupa, Rupa. Swarupa is the not the character, not the form, but the nature of God. Rupa. Rupa, the lavanya, how he looks, and character, guna. Swarupa, Rupa, Guna. Having said that, he tries to surrender himself to God. And then thereafter, because it is done in Srirangam, one of the foremost of the temples, considered to be the Vaikunta on earth, he tries to provide a Sriranga Gadhyam at the next step. And not only that, that's the time Emberman and Tayar, they think of a nice plot to bring all the other Chetanas, all the other children together. How would we bring them together? The only way to do that is, he says, let us give a Jnana Drishti to this child, the special child. Jnana Drishti of what? Jnana Drishti of our ether world. The Vaikunta Lokam. That's where all my children must come. That's where I live. That's where we all belong. This is a temporary world. I have just sent them across because they wanted to be here and see what it looks like. But they have to come to that place. That's their permanent home. And how do I do that? Maybe we can give Jnana Drishti of Vaikuntam. And that's how. And how do we know that? What's the proof of all this? Today in this world, material world, we need proof for everything. right? And we are in a very so-called pseudo-scientific world where proof is the basis for, I have to see everything with my eyes, I have to hear with my ears, I have to see, only then I would believe. That kind of a material world it is. And he caught in this quagmire, of course, he has got to give them. What is the proof for this? Embramanar, Bhagavad Ramanuja himself is the proof. Narayana, Jnana Yogena Drishtva. I'm seeing Narayana. I'm seeing our Lord, the blue-hued Lord, the sweet lotus-eyed Lord. I'm seeing him in Sri Vaikunta. I'm saying this to my devotees, and I'm doing that as a prayer to him, before him. And he is giving me the Jnana Drishti. I'm just passing it on to other children of God. Jnana Yogena Drishtva. And it is not his imagination, it is not his dream. If it were his dream, he would have told it that it were his dream. If it were his imagination, he would have told us that it was just his figment of imagination. It is not so. It's real. How do we know that? Jnana Yogena Drishtva. Nartha children, I'm seeing that. Sorry, I'm slipping into Tamil every now and then. I'm trying to avoid that completely because it's a little bit hard. It comes very naturally, but I'll try and do completely avoid. Jnana Yogena Drishtva. This is how I'm seeing it. Okay, what's the ether word I'm looking at? Sri Vaikunta. In the process of doing that, where is it located? What is the gate looking like? What are the ramparts looking like of Sri Vaikunta? What are the palatial grounds that we have there? What parks? Greenery. Greenery in the sense parks. What kind of grounds do we see there? What kind of streams do we have? What kind of birds do we have there? And where do Perumal and Tayar sit? How do they adorn themselves? How do they look? What kind of ornaments do they wear? All the details are provided in this Vaikunta Gadhyam. And that's enough for us to enjoy the luminosity, to enjoy absolute fascinating world that we are going to go if only we surrender to him. That's the easiest path that is given to us today. Easiest path that is given to us today. It's very, very hard otherwise. You've got to do, if you were in the previous yugas, you've got to do meditation, penance for hundreds of years. Or you've got to do yaga, yogangal. You've got to do things that we cannot even dream of doing it. We should be fasting for days together, months together. Impossible for us. Not even a single day. Bhakti yogam, too difficult again. How much should be? Continuous. Taila dharai. It should be flowing like oil when it is filled from one bottle to the other or any place. It should flow like uninterruptedly, continuously. That kind of bhakti. Who had it? Very few people in this material world. Meera was one. Meera, why? All the time, 24 hours. Right? If she were sleeping, she would be dreaming about the Lord. If she were awake, she would be talking and doing only things that would please God. If anybody else talks about any mundane things, she becomes disinterested. And she walks away because she doesn't know what to say in those kind of things. So 24 hours bhakti form. Do we have that? Obviously not. Do I have it? No, I don't have it. Every now and then we get into the quagmire. We have to go into our jobs. We have to look for ways and means of making money. We have to make sure that our children survive. We have to teach them a lot of things. It's impossible otherwise for us to consider that kind of a bhakti yoga. So what else can we do? The path of easy salvation, surrendering unto the holy feet of God. Even that has got a few steps. It's not that easy to just say, okay, I'm surrendering to God. That's not as simple as that. There are a few steps that we have to follow, and those steps today is done for us on our behalf by the Acharya. If we go to any of those Acharya Matam, including the Acharya Chinnajaya Swami, holy mat that we have, all over this great country of India, we have this facility. And we are born, we are blessed, far too blessed. But we have to take that opportunity We surrender ourselves to the Acharya, and Acharya pleads on our behalf to Tayar and Perumal and kept us to their feet. That's Etat Dehavasanam Utpadam Prapayaswayam. At the end of this material world, I will come out to you. There is another alternative. I can do it even instantly, immediately. Acharya can do the process immediately. At the same time, the body falls at the feet of the Acharya and the soul goes and merges with God. It's possible even today, but the Acharya Purusha will not do that because they have the diet. They think that we have several duties here, material duties we've got to fulfill. Even in the name of God, we've got to bring our children. Why do we beget children? We beget children only because we need santati. For what? Santati for the purpose of reaching God. That's what we need. That's why we need children. And therefore, we have to teach them the right things. Perumal, you have to worship, prostrate before Perumal. You have to light the kuttu velakku. And you have to prostrate before Perumal. You have to chant slokas. You have to chant mantras. We have to teach them the ways and the means. Right? That's why we have to live here. And not only that, we have got to visit Divya Kshetrams. We have got 108 Divya Kshetrams. We have got 106 on earth. We have got to go and visit them. There are some Swamis who have actually visited all the 106 that one can see on this material planet. Right? And such are the most important things. Therefore, we will have the Etat Dehavasanam. We will have the life that is given to us. But during that time, we will try and abstain from doing those things that do not please God. And we will continue to do those that actually please God. That's the whole idea behind this. And in doing this, in this Vaikunta Gadhyam, he starts with the saying that, okay, we will have to specify our primary objective. What is our primary objective? This is what it is. We have got to reach the holy feet of God. In Christianity, when I keep talking to some of my friends, when they get very interested, otherwise I don't even mention anything about Hinduism, Vaishnavism, anything to my colleagues. My students see me wearing this every day to in my workplace. They keep some of them become very curious. They come and ask me, what is that you are wearing on your forehead? I said, well, if you're really interested, come out of the classroom, we will have a discussion. Otherwise, don't worry, you just bother about what you need to do. Okay? Otherwise, you have your own work. I've got to give you some assignments, do those things. Don't come. But if you're keen, let's have a chat outside the classroom. Why do we have to do all these things? We got to follow certain etiquette, right? And that, if we follow it systematically all through, we should be in a position to please God. That's what exactly our Acharya suggests to us. Whatever that pleases him, we will adopt. Whatever that doesn't please him, we will not adopt. Very simple logic for us, right? How do we know what pleases him, what does not please him? Once again, he resides in every sentient being, right? He resides, Akash.
Even non-sentient being also, because he is there.
Every sentient being, Atma, Paramatma, he resides. How do we know that? Just check yourself. Even for this material world, we have something called conscience, don't we? Every being has got conscience. We often ignore to recognize that. We often don't want to check with that conscience. Right? If you want to pick up something stationary from your office, you're free to do that. Nobody will be seeing you, but you have to check with your conscience. Is that your property? If it is not, you don't want to take it. Just leave it there. You have to use it for your office work, not for bringing it to your own personal purposes. Likewise, everything we can check with our conscience, and if it says that yes, it is correct, appropriate, yes, of course we can do that. That's how we can try and say what pleases him, what does not please him. Right? There are several examples. We will not get into those kind of mundane issues at the moment. But when he starts by saying the primary objective, people might ask me, and a couple of them even asked me this important thing. It is already specified in Sharanagati Gadhyam. It is already specified in Sriranga Gadhyam. Why do you have to repeat it in Vaikunta Gadhyam again? For the Lord and for the Acharyan, every Gadhyam is considered to be independent of itself. Right? If you are so attached to Vaikunta Gadhyam, that Gadhyam must be able to tell you all the things that are primary and important and significant. And therefore, the primary objective is specified there too. What's that objective? Swadhina Trivida Chetana Chetana Swarupa Sthiti Pravritti Vedam Klesha Karmatya Sesha Doshasam Sprishtam Swabhavya Anavadikadishaya Jnana Balaishwarya Virya Sakti Tejas Pravritti Asankheya Kalyana Gunaganam Kamharnyavam Bhagavantam Narayanam Swamitmena Suratvena Gurutvena Cha Parigrihya Aikantika Atyantika Padam Pujatvaya Paricharyai Manorataha. That is my desire. Manorataha. What is that desire? I have that person, the glorified person that I'm talking about. He has been the creator and the sustainer of this world. Not just this world, the universe. Not just this universe, maybe even the extraterrestrial spaces beyond that. How many galaxies do we have in this world, in this universe? Sorry. How many? Billions of galaxies. What do these modern scientists, we will spend a little bit of time on that as well. We go much beyond what the modern science knows in Vaikuntam. It says that clearly. Come on, Sridharan. How do you know that? Of course, we have the evidence from Ramanuja Sahasrabdhi's Vaikunta Gadhyam. Jnana Yogena Drishtva. What is the kind of? We are talking about observable universe today. From Earth, with high-powered telescopes and whatnot, we are able to observe certain amount of universe. And even with that, we are seeing millions and millions of galaxies. Right? And we are residing in Milky Way galaxy. The neighboring galaxy is Andromeda. Another one is Triangulum. These are the galaxies that we know. But beyond that, there are nameless galaxies around. And that's only observable part. And beyond that is the unobserved part. Right? But whereas what does Acharya say? We will see that as we go along. One of the most important things that we see there is amazing. What he says is Chaturudasha Bhuvanatmaka Mandam. Chaturudasha Bhuvanatmaka Mandam. 14 different worlds. That's all that we have. 14 different planets that have life forms in that, of which Earth is one of them. Earth is the 8th one. Right? We have 7 below, 6 above, 14. Right? Right? So, Om Bhuvaha, Om Swaha, Om Mahaha, Om Janaha, Om Tapaha, Om Satyam, Satyalokam. That's where Brahma resides. And that's the highest form of the planetary, that celestial beings live. Right? They have much higher degree of power than what we have. But of course, it is still limited compared to what God wants us to have, what wants us to have in Nitya Vibhuti, Vaikunta. And there are 7 worlds below us as well. Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Mahadala, Rasatala, Patala. Right? 7 worlds below and 6 worlds above. Earth is one of them. 14 different planets. That's all we have. What does the science say? They don't know. Right now, they say Earth is the only planet that has got the life form. We don't know if there are any other things, but we can actually create science fiction, extraterrestrial, E.T., and all those kind of things we create. But we don't know what is there. We don't know how the forms would be looking like. Forms are glorious, far more glorious. Devas look in a much more glorious form than what we have. Right? They are far more beautiful than us. Etc. etc. So many things have been very clearly specified. 14. Chatur Dasha Bhuvanatmaka Mandam Dashagunitottaram Cha Avarana Saptakam. Dashagunitottaram Cha Avarana Saptakam. 10 times Dashagunitottaram. 10 times bigger than that particular universe that we are living in is each Avaranam, which is a terrestrial, extraterrestrial space. Right? There are 7 such spaces. Dashagunitottaram Cha Avarana Saptakam. 7 such spaces. So which means 70 times bigger than the overall universe that we have. We've got to cross over all those worlds. Unimaginable. Brahmadinam Vang Manasa Agochare. Brahmadinam Vang Manasa Agochare. Meaning it is beyond beyond the conception. Vang manasa, vak manas, right? Vang manasa, shanti. When it comes in Sanskrit, it's a beautiful language. Sanskrit. You know, when I was a small boy, I was asked to go to the Sanskrit class. I went with a lot of disinterest because my playtime was cut out. I wanted to play cricket. I was forbidden from doing that because my father wanted me to get into Sanskrit. He sent me, and today I'm very, very happy that I went. I couldn't continue my cricket, but I have been able to continue with all the beautiful flowering language of Sanskrit. But of course, there is a lot more that I need to learn in the glorifying language. But whatever little I can. Vang manasa agochare. Agochare. It's beautiful. Vang manasu vak manas. It's beyond the comprehension of Brahmadinam, Brahma and all others. They can't even comprehend that kind of space. And beyond that is the Paramavyoma. Paramavyoma, Vyoma is the Akasham. Paramavyoma, Dhamam, Sri Vaikunta. Oh, it's there. That kind of a world is there. And he sees that, which means he is trying to categorically tell you how many extraterrestrial spaces you have got to cross and what's the universe that we are talking about, etc. And modern science does not know an iota of these things. Modern science does not know an iota. Because they are not referring to all these kind of saintly documents. The Vedas. They want to ignore that. Why? Because they want proof with what they could see with their material eyes. Jnana drishti is something that you can't even imagine getting it, and it is being provided to certain saints by the will of God. And when I asked them a simple question, and they asked me these kind of things, I asked them back one simple question. You have a friend, right? Yes, I have a friend. How do you know that he likes you, or he or she likes you? Oh, yeah, he talks to me nicely, he smiles at me, and that's why. But did he ever tell you that he likes you so much? No, he didn't tell me. But you're getting it. How? That's a feeling. That's an emotion. When you can realize the emotion and believe in that emotion so strongly to say that such and such person is my friend and such person does not like me, the way he looks at me, I know it. You know? When you can be so categorical about these things, which can't be even seen by the eyes, why can't you be categorically clear, understand that there is something called a metaphysical element in our real, in this world. And that metaphysical element includes all this jnana drishti, feeling what another person would do. And we have all these kind of ideas, logic back in India. And when we say something, if somebody else has got some kind of a cough or something, they would say, oh, it is indicative, it is symptomatic that somebody else is thinking of me at this particular point of time. Well, how far is it true? I can't establish this. But it's the mind to mind. And if one can believe the Anandashti, one can believe this as well. Okay, so given that kind of a systematic approach that he has seen this location, Dasaguni-totram Chavarana Saptakam, Karyakarana Jatamatitya Vartamane, Brahmadinam Vangmanasa Gochare. Karyakarana Jatamatitya Vartamane. What does that mean? We are living in a world of cause and effect relationships. Cause and effect. But we know that solar system has got these planets, and the Pluto has no longer been recognized as a planet anymore. We have the other planets in the solar system. And we say that there is gravity across. Okay? And so all these systems are revolving around the sun because of this so-called gravity. And not only that, this gravity is also seen within the galaxy itself. So which means our entire solar system, do you know that they are also moving? Sun is also moving. It's revolving around something which is the Milky Way. The solar system is also moving around the Milky Way. And not only that, each galaxy is moving. Andromeda is supposedly going to hit this particular Milky Way 4 billion years from now. That's what they're estimating. How do you know 4 billion years later, this is likely to hit our Milky Way, and thereafter the life form on this small planet called Earth may not exist? How do you know? It's all a calculation that you are making. It might be true, it might not be true. They might just pass away, they might not even have. But if you have intergalactic gravity, Karana Karya Jatamatitya Vartamane, they are all linked to each other because of these kinds of cause and effect relationships. They are all moving because of this. And because of this, there is a change in the climate, change in the weather pattern, change in our individual behavior. Every individual here, including me, no exception, including Brahma, no exception, has got this trigunam. What is the trigunam that we are talking about? Sattva, Raja, Tamas guna. And when he is in Tamas, he seems to be enlightening. He seems to be wonderful. When he is in Rajas, he seems to be very active. When he is in Tamas, he seems to be very docile. It's evident. We also experience that. Many times when we make mistakes, it is only when we are not in Sattvam, we make mistakes. We say something that actually hurts other people. We don't even realize that. And that other person does not want to tell us because they feel that they might hurt us in return. So they keep to themselves. But there is a distance already forming between them. You see all these things happening in this world? No exceptions at all. Why are they happening? Because of the variations in our gunanga. And why do these variations happen? Karya Karana Jatamatitya Vartamane. Because we are involved in this particular cause and effect relationships. What we need to do is try to get out of this by associating ourselves with Bhagavadas like us, trying to talk about karma, trying to take every opportunity given to us to do karma that is related to God, that which pleases God. That's the way to go. If we do it more and more and more, the proportion of sattva increases higher and higher and higher. The proportion of naturally rajas and tamas will go down because we only have about 16-17 hours in a day. Taking the time away that we sleep, the rest of the time that we have 16-17 hours. If you spend about 10 hours in sattva gunam, the proportion of rajas and tamas will come down naturally. So people will see you as, oh, that person is amazing. He's a great person. He's a Parama Bhagavata, Parama Vaishnava. That's how we say it. But the more and more you stay away in this material world, stay away from these and get into this material world, you become more of the other things. You don't want that. Right? That's once the location part is clarified, then he says, I'm traveling further and entering into this Parama Vyoma Dhamma, Sri Vaikunta. And the word Divya is being used immensely, almost continuously by Acharya. When he tries to enter into the holy kingdom, the ether world of Sri Vaikunta, he tries to say that, I can see Divyam, Divyam, Divyam everywhere. Right? The word Divya, if you see, in this world, material world, where do we use them? Very rarely we use them. Where Divya Dampati, Divya Kshetra, Divya Lokam, that's perhaps it. Right? We use the word Divya very rarely, sparingly, because it's a very, very highly revered word. Whereas look at this, if you see in this Grantham, he uses it almost everywhere. It comes very clearly, Atim Pramane, Divyayatana Mandabe, Divyayatane, Kasminchit Vichitra Divya Ratnamaye, Divyasthana Mandabe, right? Divya Ratna Stamba Sata Sahasra Kotibihi Upasobite, Divya Ratna Anaratna Kritasthale, Divya, everything. Which means he is just amazed. The moment he enters into this glorifying world, he sees a large, huge temple of immeasurable dimensions. Sata Sahasra Kotibihi. The word Sahasra Kotibihi in Sanskritam is not used to mention dimensions of 1,000, Sahasra Koti, 1,000 crores. It's not like that. It is anything that is used to describe immeasurable dimensions. This is Sahasra Kotibihi. Sata Sahasra Kotibihi Upasobiti. Divyo Dhyana Sata Sahasra Kotibihi Avrite. Right? And the birds in the subsequent paragraph, he comes back to describe that. Right? So, at every stage, he finds that the beautiful temple with ramparts, amazing, filled with ratnam, gems all around. It's so beautiful and illuminated. There are no suns there. There are no planetary systems to give you light in Sri Vaikunta. It's the illumination that's created by the Divya Dampati that creates that light and sustains that. It's a beautiful, same kind, no change at all. There is no karana, karya karana, jatamatityam over there. It is beyond that. Vartamani. It's beyond that. It's a world where there is no change. So you don't have to have thirst, you don't have to have hunger, you don't have to crave for food. Only when you crave for food, you forget God. You don't have to have any of those kind of things over there. It's divinely illuminated. Right? And he looks at this Divya Leela Mantapangal. Some of those Mantapangal for Perumal's exclusive Divya Leela, Taya's exclusive Divya Leela, some of them for their Divya Dampatigalodi Divya Leela. It's all there and beautiful Ratna Stamba, meaning all those pillars made of Ratnams, gems, etc. It's so beautiful to look at. Not only that, why would an Acharya consider an ordinary object such as an ornament or such as a very, very small gemstone would be to be so delightful? Anything considered, anything relating to God is so divine, it's so blissful. That's how we see that. Acharya sees that. Right? And each of those halls are covered not by walls but by Karpaga trees and showering Parijata flowers all the time. And so you can imagine if the hall has got completely Karpaga trees granting you wishes and granting you Parijata trees all around, how beautiful it would be, how remarkable it would be, how pleasing it would be. Right? And beyond that, he also sees a lot of parks around. Parks meaning grounds, beautiful grounds, with streams flowing everywhere. And in those streams, crystal clear water flows. Imagine, if we have a nice place, we like to take a retreat. We like to drop off everything, take a car, put our family inside, take something to eat, go away. Right? Why? Because we are craving for some ananda. We are looking out, we are in pursuit of some ananda, and that's what is happening over there. But that pursuit is a very different pursuit. It's a pursuit of the divinity, right? That is embedded in the Divya Dampati. That's the pursuit over there. What's the pursuit here? Money, primarily. Right? Every one of us, money. But if we go after money in a very greedy way, it is going to lead you to do. But if you say, I'm going to abstain from earning, then you can't survive. There needs to be a balance. And the balance must come in a very natural way. So that is why you can see many of us, more sattvic, look out for some jobs with some fixed income so that we don't bother about it anymore. Just carry on with our duties. And if possible, just escape from that and chant Hare Krishna. That's what we do. That's striking a balance. Now, what is that balance? Depends upon. If we want to have a golden temple, God will give the money for it. If we want a chanting to be done, God will get us congregated together. And Monith and Rajagopalan Swami, they are all doing great service here by arranging this kind of a discussion. And God bless them. And God bless each one of us, because we are assembled here to spend some time in Satvikam, in Sattvagun. And I am so happy, delighted to come over and share whatever little I have. I don't have too many things, but whatever little, it gives me pleasure equally. I don't want my name or anywhere to be spread out, but it's just that the sharing itself gives me so much pleasure. And that's why we are all assembled together. Okay? And those grounds, those beautiful streams, have got some beautiful beings as well. What are they? Birds. What kind of birds? Sukasarika Mayura Kokiladibihi Komala Kunjitaihi Akulaihi. Sukasarika Mayura Kokiladibihi. Sukha, parrots. Sarika birds. Sukasarika Mayura, peacocks. Kokiladibihi, cuckoo birds. All sweet ones. Either by appearance or by their voices, they are all very sweet birds. Swans are swimming, right, on the street. Sukashalika, Mayura, Kokiladihi, Komala Kujitaihi, very pleasant sounds, Kujitaihi. Akulaihi, if you take the real meaning of that word, it means something like pandemonium, some disruption, something like that. Now, what is that? Oh, we are already living in a disruptive world here on earth. What is the disruption there? That disruption is for a different thing. We are also in pursuit there, but we are pursuing a different object, different objective, Divya Dampati, right? And there is always a pursuit or a portee for giving in, not for taking, giving. Here, it's the opposite. We pursue things for taking and less for giving, where there is more for giving rather than for taking. So there is some kind of Komala Kujitaihi, Akulaihi, and those birds are chirping, going here and there, going here and there. Why? Because whenever a new visitor, almost regularly, we will have a new visitor coming into the Vaikunta world. And they got to chant, they got to be happy about it, they got to welcome the new entrance, the new admittance into the world of the Vaikunta. Right? So when they come in, they greet, they go to serve the god, they go to bring some flowers, etc. Kovala Kujitaihi Akulaihi, Divyo Dhyana Sata Sahasra Kotibihi Avrate. Divyo Dhyana Sata Sahasra, and their Komala Kujitam, the chirping of those, their noises of whatever, you can't say the word noises, their chirping, their sounds of those lovely sounds of those birds, Komala Kujitaihi, appears like a Divyo Dhyana, right? Sata Sahasra Kotibihi Avrate, immeasurable times, Avrate, Avrati. Avrati is very important. If I say Hare Krishna once, will I get salvage? Well, depends. I can't say that. Why? Because you will say once Hare Krishna and then keep committing all the blunders and all the things that do not please God, including Acharya Dvesham. If you keep doing all this nonsense, how can God take you in? That's because you said that. He might probably give you another chance because of His mercy. He might probably give you another birth to see if you can rectify yourself. But He will not be taking you. So salvation doesn't come by just one avriti. Why should we do avriti? Repetition. Even this modern world, Harvard Business School says the same thing. The only way, the best way to educate students is by repetition. I got to teach them over and over and over again. That's the only way and we memorize things. We learn things only by repeating. Right? Sata Sahasra Kotibihi Avrate. And the moment you do this over and over again, what happens is your mind gets reformed. You constantly think about that only. Right? And so therefore, it is important. You might have seen Divya Acharya Purusha who come here. And there is singing saint of Karnataka. Right? Swami. When he came here, to conduct a bhajan, when some people were introducing him, he was muttering something. You know what he was doing? He was chanting the Lord's name. Why was he doing that? He was doing continuous avriti. Not only that, he doesn't want to get tainted by all this kind of glorifying introduction that is being given. Ahankara, mamakara, that has to be destroyed. Right? And constantly, even for saintly people, it might slip in. Vishwamitra, you know how many times he had to do the penance, do the meditation. Each time he would slip into this material problems and they'd come back and repent for it, come back again, do it again, all over. So even for saying no exceptions at all. So one has to be extremely careful in not letting all these kind of evil thoughts get into your mind, including ahankara and amakara. So once that is seen, the picturization is now set clear. Moves into the grounds and keeps looking at all those kind of beautiful places. Walks further down, he sees some grounds, playgrounds, Divya Leela, Stanangan, Ayatanam. Ayatanam is a place, Divya Ayatanam. In those places, one can see a lot of flower beds all around, beautiful flower beds. And not only that, in one such major place, there is a beautiful podium, and in that podium, arranged with flowers, decked with flowers, on top of it, the Divya Adiseshan Acharya is reclining there. So Adiseshan is also, just like Perumal, he also resides in Thiruparkadam and Sri Vaikuntam concurrently at the same time. Adiseshan resides there. Right? And Adiseshan, he is actually trying to protect the Lord by his hood. In doing so, we can see that on the lap of Adiseshan, Perumal and Thayar, Divya Dampati, they are seated together. First, Acharya sees Thayar. Her illumination is something that captivates him. He says, Thayarudeya Anugraham is amazing. She is her lustre, illuminating lustre, that lights up the whole Sri Vaikunta. The lustre that emanates from her body is so beautiful that people actually try to adorn and adore her and try to serve her all the time, whereas she says, she refuses that, and she says, Kainkaryams must be directed to Perumal, not to me. Kainkaryams must be directed to Vishwaksenan, the Prathama Acharyan there, and not to me. She redirects them. She guides the Jivatmas who come there. There are only Trivida Chetana Chetana, Bhakta, Muktas and Nityas. Nitya are people who stay there all the time, right? Hanumat Prabhu, Garudan, they stay all the time. Nitya Atma. Muktatmakar, who are relieved from the bondage. Bhakta, who are like us, trying to get there, trying to get to those kind of places. Now, of those, the two of them who are there, Nityas and Mukta, in that Sri Vaikuntam, she directs them to provide Kainkaryam of different types. What are the kind of Kainkaryam that we can think of that one can render to the Lord? Right? We can bring flowers to Him. We can bring holy water to Him. We can just look at Him. Even that is a service. What is this hand used for? Very many reasons. The hand is for me. I am not for this hand. This hand must help me. So are my legs. So is my body. They are subservient to me because they are here to help me. The same way, Muktatmas, Nityatma and the Bhakta, that we are here. We are here to serve the Divya Dampati. And that service is absolutely fascinating. My daughter was asking me, Dad, it is so interesting when you describe about Sri Vaikuntam as our Acharya sees it. But I'm not so much full of wisdom. Of course, even I am not. But she says, according to her, she says, I don't have the wisdom that you have, Dad, but I can't see what is far more interesting. You can see Perumal once or twice, but that's don't you get bored after that? No, you never get bored, because he has this continuous capacity to provide rejuvenated spirit of enjoyment to you all the time. All the time, ever.
New joy.
Absolutely, new joy all the time. It's like newly married couple. They get so attracted to each other until for about 3 months or so. Then thereafter it becomes a little bit boring to meet each other. They would like to get away from each other, of course. It's not like that. It's a continuous enjoyment of continuous visualizing, continuous serving. But serving, what does that mean? Okay, I asked her a very simple question. What do you crave for? What do you want to do in your life? I want to finish my graduation. Then I want to go for my employment. Where do you want to work? Oh, I want to work for top companies like TC or Larsen Toubro or Tatas or Birlas. These are companies here in the Western world. I said, why? Oh, because I want to work there. It's a good place. I can work. Ultimately, what are you doing? Getting employed there, so working there, serving that company, and that you consider to be a great thing, an achievement. rendering service to a company that makes cigarettes? I'm not fascinated by that. But ITC, the brand name, you work for a brand, you work for a company, right? But if that is so much interesting to you and so much of giving you some kind of self-gratification, what about this? This is a service that we are supposed to be doing. That's what we are created for. And that service, is it not very interesting? Is it not very enlightening? Is it not very illuminating? Yes, it should be. That's why we are here. That's why we want to get into it. That's why we are here. We want to go there. And you will not be able to perceive the continuous joy and sitting here. And that perception can only be felt and not can be told. And why are we then sharing that? Because Divya Acharya Purusha, they have shown to us the path. And when they have shown us the path, why don't we follow them? Why don't we actually have some amount of involvement in what they are saying and enjoy the experience? That's going to be undying experience, continuous, flawless experience that we have. And, okay, after describing the Kaya, and after knowing the Kainkaryam that we might have to do to Perumal, this question might arise in our minds. When you are talking about all those birds, Sridharan, what are you saying? You said only Nitya and Mukta would be there. What are those birds then? They are also Muktas. They have decided, they have prayed to God to take those kind of forms. You can remain as a Mukta in a physical form, that appears like a human being, but not more Divya Tejas, right? Or you can choose to take a form that way. Whatever you choose to, you can get that. And those kind of birds, they are also doing service to God, Mukta, right? So there is no difference between them. It all provides that kind of glorifying experience in that form. Right? Once that is done, okay, then we move on and say, okay, Emberman's Tirumeni. That's the next description of Emberman's Tirumeni. You can't stop it. You can only make so many descriptions, but the descriptors themselves may be inadequate. Right? Komala Pujitaigi. You can say that. Or you can say he's a lotus flower. But even that is not sufficient. You can say freshly blossomed lotus flower. Okay, but even that may not be comparable. But you can use so many words to describe and say, Mama Sarvam, whatever that happens, it is all my limitation to describe. And whatever that is there, much more, it's indescribable, that you can only experience. Unmilita Sarasija Sadrisha Naya Nayukaram, Swacha Nila Jimuta Sangasa. Unmilita Sarasija Sadrisha Naya Nayukaram. Sarasija Thamari, the lotus flower. Sadrisha Naya Nayukaram. Sadrisha Naya Nayukaram. The then and then freshly blossomed lotus flower. The blue-hued Lord. When you say blue-hued Lord, comparing with lotus flower, how does it match? It matches this way. If you take the palm, it's like lotus flower. Beautiful color, the reddish, the redness or the near redness that is associated with the lotus flower. Take the upper side of the hand, it's blue-hued. And if you look at it, you might like to try this at some stage. The combination of blue and lotus red, right? When they are together, those lines, they are very, very pleasing to eyes. You might like to try it. Even green and lotus blue lotus red is actually pleasing to eyes. But try this combination, it's so pleasing to eyes. Even this, whatever in the so-called mundane world, earthly world, if that is pleasing, you can imagine how it will be Divya, Pitambara, Divya Swarupam, Emberman's Divya Rupam, how beautiful it should be. Right? Sarasija Saprisha Naya Nayukalam, Swacha Nila Jimuta Sangasam. Jimutam, cloud, Nila Jimuta Sankasa, Atyujwala Pita Vasasam. Right? He has this Pithambar, Jajwalyam, even that is illuminating. Anything that he wears, he adorns, is also illuminating. Not only he, it's also. And people might say, okay, so does that mean that because of the aparanam, because of the ornaments that he gets all these kind of beautiful illumination? It's the other way around. It's because he wears those ornaments get those kind of illuminating beauty. Come on, Sridharan, where is the proof for all these? Of course, there is a lot of proof for all of them. And here is in Vaikunta Gadhyam itself. It shows Ati Manohara Kirita Makuta Sutavatamsa Makara Kundala Kayura Kataka Palmlet Kataka Shivat Sakaustuba Muktadama Udarabandana Pitambara Kanchi Guna Nupuradivihi anklet. Every little ornament has been described. And they all have Divya Gandhaihi Ati Shopaihi. Divya Gandhaihi. They have a beautiful sweet smell as well. How can ornaments smell beautifully? If we have only seen ornaments, that's because when we wear ornaments, we get beauty because of the ornaments. And wear those ornaments for some time and remove them, they smell bad. You might know that yourself. Take your ring finger, smell them, horrible. Yes, that's too horrible. Why? Because you've been wearing them. You are living in this kind of world and trying to think of those kind of jewels and ornaments, and they get these kind of scents because you are borrowing from them. Whereas it is the other way around. Those ornaments get brightened, illuminated by being worn by God, by the great Lord. And therefore, they emanate a sweet smell, Divya Gandhaihi. Right? And that is described. So it is not me who is saying that. It is the Acharya Purusha who says this. Right? So the description of his looks, the description of his ornaments that he wears, everything is given. Then why did he come there? He came there for a purpose. Jnanadrishti was for a purpose. What is that purpose? That was specified in the beginning. The objective was specified in the beginning, Sharanagati. And that Sharanagati, if it has to be done, it has to be done here. How do we do that? Divya Dampati, we have seen them. And now we got to recognize what is that step that we got to follow in recognizing that. One of the steps that we do is, he is a Swami, I am a Dasa. Right? Atma is a Dasa and Paramatma is a Swami. Nitya Swami and Nitya Dasa. That recognition must be there. And once that recognition is there, Nitya Dasa, then what we do is, we say, okay, and therefore I have come to surrender myself. Therefore I have come to surrender myself to you. The description of Bhagavataha Nitya Swamyam Atmanaha Nitya Dasyam Cha Yathavasthitam Anusandaya accurately, very precisely make this kind of a declaration to yourself. Then the next step is just start earning for it. Earning for what? I'm sorry, not E-A-R-N-I-N-G. Y-E-A-R-N-I-N-G. Earning for that. What should I earn for? I must say, Kadaham Bhagavantam Narayanam Mama Kuladeta, Mama Kuladevam, Mama Kuladanam, Mama Bhogyam, Mama Madaram, Mama Pitaram, Mama Sarvam, Sakshat Karavani Chakshusha. Sakshat Karavani Chakshusha. With my eyes. Sakshat Karavani. When you want to translate it into English, you can see how very base kind of translation it gives you. To see. No, it is not just to see. Sakshat Karavani, to actually visualize and trying to take that inside you. Perception, perceive that. Imbibe could be a word that can be somewhat close. Imbibe that perception. Right? Sakshat Karavani Chakshusha. Mama Kulanadam, Mama Kuladevam, Mama Kuladanam, Mama Bhogyam, Mama Madaram, Mama Pitaram, Mama Sarvam. You can't describe anymore. As I mentioned to you, the descriptors become meaningless after some time. So, mama sarvam sakshat karamani chakshusha kadaham bhagavantam bhagavat padaravintam sirasa dharayishyami. When am I going to hold the holy feet of God onto my head? You should start earning. You should start pining for this. That's step number 2. Right? First of all, recognizing that you are a dasa and he's a Nityaswami. Second, you should start earning for it. Once you start earning for it, then you are going closer and closer. You can go closer to God. Dhuratu eva bhagavantam. When you see the God from a distance, of course he is sitting there. And I can see that he is beaming a smile on me. Right? And I am going closer. And all his parivaram is there surrounding him all the time. And he is never left alone. Divya Dampati, they are never left alone in Sri Vaikunta. So, they are always surrounded by Nitya and Mukta. Of course, they will always be happy to be surrounded by them. Dhuratu eva bhagavantam seshabhoge shiyasahasinam vainadeyadivihi sevyamanam. Vainadeyadivihi, all the parivar vainadeyadivihi sevyamanam samasta parivaraya srimate narayanaya namaha iti pranamya uttaya punah pranamya. As you see him with all the parivaram, you stand up, fall at the ground, fall on the ground, prostrate, again stand up, punah pranamya, again and again fall at his feet. Right? Some Bhagavata will say, not necessary. If you do it once, it is sufficient. If you do it once, Perumal recognizes that and he takes that. He does ankikaram. He recognizes that and gives you the bliss. What do you have to do? Punah pranamya. The joy of doing it again and again, nothing else. If you do it again and again, you are actually reiterating your servitude to God. You are saying that, yes, I am a dasa. I am a dasa to you all the time. And that servitude, repetition, avrati, keep doing it. Punah pranamya. Atyanta sadhvasa vinaya vanataha bhutva bhagavat parishadaha gananayakaihi dwarapalaihi kripaya sneha garpaya drisha avalokitaha. Each one of those gananayakaihi, commander-in-chief, dwarapalaihi, the gatekeepers, and all his office bearers, bhagavat parishadaha gananayakaihi and dwarapalaihi kripaya sneha garpaya drisha avalokitaha. They all look at me with compassion and say, very happy to see you come again. Very happy to a new Mukta who is coming into that place. And they are welcoming him with a pleasing smile. And Perumal Sevichitu, once you provide the Vandanam to Perumal, then all the Parivaram, you provide Vandanam to them. It's not the other way around. You don't provide Vandanam to the Parivaram first and then to Perumal. It should be the other way around. Perumal must be worshipped first and then Samasta Parivaram. Samasta Parivaraya Srimate Narayanaya Namaha iti. Then I go closer, I walk closer and closer to God. And then my third step comes. What's the third step? I have to make an yachakam. What is an yachakam? Yachakam is begging. I should beg for something. What's the begging that you should do? I've got something to share with you on this part. Srimata Mula Mantrena. You know what a Mula Mantra is. Tirvashtaksham. I won't say this because it is a mantra. Raja Mantra. Mula Mantra. Mantra, we can't actually keep chanting it all the time. And I see, unfortunately, it's being done in our temples here. Not only here, every other town that I see abroad, many. I see that happening in the temples. The Pujari himself does it. Mula Mantram should be absolutely sanctified. You can do Dvayam anytime you like. Sriman Narayana Charmo Charman Prabhadhye Srimate Narayanaya Namaha. You can keep chanting it anytime, even with the shoes on, even when you are walking, even when you are on the train, even when you are working, whenever you have spare time. Keep chanting Dvayam, no problem. Mula Mantram, no. You have to have Parama Acharam for that. Anushtanam. Nithirma, when you take bath, come purified, stand before the God, sanctify yourself, and when you are doing all this Tirvaradhanam, that is when you chant this Mula Mantram. And then you don't do it. It's in the temple. You don't do it all the time. You put it on the mic, and people, anyone and everyone comes, and don't do that. Why? Why don't we do that? Why do we have to not do that? It's simply because there is some sanctity attached to that Mula Mantram, and that sanctity has to be preserved in view of the pleasure that we are going to give to God. God does not want certain sanctified mantrams to be spread out and put in and propagated and broadcasted on public mics. No, never. It is a bit of a displeasure for me, but you can't say it. You can say, but they don't listen. I have told so many things, but people don't listen. But there are many things that I have to change myself, so I keep quiet. I just leave it. Doesn't matter. Bhagavat Namam, you should never break it. Right? Never break it, ever. If people can't say your name properly, try to teach them. Right? And if they can't still do it, it's their problem. But at least among ourselves, we know how to say a word. Rajagopalan, beautiful name. Every time, I would like to say the name completely and say, Swami. Rajagopalan Swami. Rajagopalan. Each time I say it, I am actually enjoying Mandarguni Rajagopalan. Padmanabha. I'm enjoying Padmanabha. Why call him Paddy? Why destroy that name? Why destroy? I'm not pointing it out to him, but generally say, because Bhagavad Avacharam, instantly Bhagavad Avacharam. We know his name is Padmanabhan. Say Padmanabhan Swami. Wow. My Tata is my Guru. My grandfather. Whatever little I have today is because of his blessing. He lived for 101 years, pure Vaishnava. Kudattinutru Velakku. No one knew his knowledge, his wisdom. Nobody knew that. None of his other grandchildren knew that. We were blessed, myself and my brother, were blessed to have him. How much am I going for time?
No, that's fine.
No? Another 15 minutes?
Yeah, 20 minutes.
20. Thank you. Thank you for that. I think it's joy for another 20 minutes. You have to visualize. And we learned under him systematically. When he does Tiruvaradhanam, every now and then he will cry. Bhagavad Aradhanam, when you are trying to do Divya Asanam, Divya Snanam, he will start crying each time. When he chants Ramayana, suddenly he will laugh out loud like a crazy person. And suddenly he will start smiling and laughing. And suddenly he will cry profoundly. We used to be worried. And when my grandmother, when she was 80, when she passed away, he was 90 at that stage. But then he lived on till 101. And he didn't shed a tear drop, not even a single tear drop. And all his sons were assembled to do the last rites. And all that he was doing is sitting there in the main hall and directing everybody. Come on, get on with your act. You got to do it. All the final rites, because the sons were all assembling and talking and gossiping, and he said, no, come on, get on with your act. And I was wondering at that time, a person who has lived with him for more than 50 years, he doesn't even shed a teardrop. What is that? Today I realize he's a Jnana Swarupi. He's a Jnana Swarupi. Jnani will never cry for this material body. When this material body goes away, they never cry for it at all. They will say, fine, it has shed its body and it's probably taken a new body, or perhaps it has gone to Vaikunta. We don't know. Right? And we just leave it at that and keep going. But the rights, the duties have to be done. One has to be extremely careful about that. So he was pressurizing people over there. Come on, get on with your act. Got to do it. Only the sons can do it, not the husband. And therefore, he was actually concerned about it. Jnani. and I've learned a little bit from him. Moola Mantram, never chant. Bhagavad Apacharam, no, no, no. Bhagavad Apacharam, big no. Never say anything behind the backs of Rajagopal and behind the backs of Modi Prabhu. No, it is an Apacharam, straight away. Oh, but what if he has done something in Rajogunam or Tamasgunam to me? Well, leave it. Once he comes back to Sattvagunam, he might probably repent for it and come back to you, or probably ignore it. It's best to ignore and keep going. That's how we have been taught all these things. Okay? Niti Pranamya, Moola Mantrena Bhagavat. Now, then you make this Yachakam. What is this Yachakam that I was talking about? Step number 3. Bhagavan Mam Aikantika Atyantika Paricharyakaranaya Parikrishthishva. Aikantika Atyantika Paricharyakaranaya Parikrishniva. Iti Yachamanaha. Iti Yachamanaha. What does that Yachamanaha mean? It says Aikantika Atyantika. Aikantika, Atyantika would be uninterrupted. Aikantika is focused. Absolutely focused on what I want to. If I want a PhD, I will work day and night and get a PhD. If I want something, I work for it. In the same way, if I want to serve the Divya Dampati, I work with a focus. Aikantika, Atyantika, uninterrupted. I don't want any interruptions to come in the process of my servitude to God. Atyantika. Paricharyakaranaya, service, rendering service. Paricharyakaranaya. Parikrishniva. Meaning, please allow me to render service uninterruptedly and with a focused mind all the time to you. Yachamanaha. That is the 3rd step. So first of all, recognize he is a Nitya Swami, you are a Nitya Dasya. Second, have an earning. When am I going to get that? When am I going to have the sparsham of God? Start earning for it. Third, make an ayachakam. And after pranamya, punah pranamya, make an ayachakam for this. Iti yachamanaha pranamya atmanam bhagavate nivedayate. And I am surrendering myself. How do I surrender? Atmanam bhagavate nivedayate. I am giving my atma to him. I am nivedanam, atma nivedanam. How do I give this atma nivedanam? Only if you do these kind of 3 steps, it automatically comes as the result of these 3 things that you do. First of all, recognition. Second, earning for it. And third, going and doing a yachakam to him. Then, what does God do? God has got 2 steps on his own. 2 procedures. What he does is, first of all, he provides he glances on you with a smile, with a loving smile. The moment he gives a loving smile to you, then immediately what this Atma thinks, wow, I think I've got it, almost. I think I've got the opportunity to serve him, right? And I am going to be a Nityadasyan all the time, and his smile seems to be an indicator of what I'm going to get as the fruit. That's the kind of, that is not considered to be ahankara. Anything related to God, if I'm actually focusing my mind onto it, it never becomes ahankara. Right? It never becomes greed. If you acquire wealth only with the sole purpose of serving God and serving Bhagavatas, that's not greed. If you acquire anything, knowledge only with the purpose of delivering others, that's not overindulgence. Right? If you grow crops only with the objective of serving those that are hungry, poor, that's not considered to be overindulgence at all. And if you do this pranamyam to Perumal and say, yes, I have bhakti, I think, and because the God is beaming a smile on me, I think I'll get the opportunity. If you start thinking like that, it is not ahankara at all. It's all directed towards God. Because that's the whole purpose of doing it. Sandhyavandanam, you've got to do it. Anushtanam, you've got to do it. There is no escape for any Brahman, right? Until they die. Okay, they have to do Sandhyavandanam regularly, Trikalam. But Trikalam, how do we do the afternoon board? the Sandhya Madhyanikam. You can do it by different ways. One, you can try and see if you can do it in the morning, couple it with Sandhyavandanam, Pratha Sandhyavandanam, and then go to work. Or else, if you can come back home, if you are lucky enough to come back home, have lunch, do it, then fortunate, you don't miss the timing. You have to do the Kala Sandhyavandanam. Well, once you do the Sandhyavandanam, what is that you are gaining? The moment the fruit of this Anushtanam is the realization of God, the purpose of life and the realization of God over time. Do it over time. 1,000 times, 2,000 times. Slowly you will begin to get the feeling of liking towards God. That's the step. That's the step that you need to get to. And it has been inscribed as a doctrine in Manusmriti. And the outcome has to be done. Okay? But the objective is this. Now, when I'm chanting, when I'm doing this, when I'm doing a pravachanam, and if it is actually coming to the time of Sandhyavandanam, it is 6 o'clock in the evening, and if I'm continuing my pravachanam, I don't say, no, I'm going to stop this, I'm going to go and do my Sandhyavandanam and come back. No, you don't have to do that. Why? The ultimate purpose of Sandhyavandanam is liking God Himself and reaching God. That's the whole purpose. And when you are indulging in that activity already, continue that activity, finish it off, and then go and do your Sandhyavandanam. That's how our Manusmriti has been actually clarifying to us how we should carry on with our duties. Right? But for our materialistic purposes, what do we do? Because I can't come back in the afternoon, I do the Madhyanikam in the morning itself. Right? But it is not the preferred way, but it's okay. At least you keep doing it. That's a minimum thing that is expected. Right? And Atmanam Pranamya Bhagavate Nivedanat. Then you do it as a Nivedanat. The first thing is actually it casts a beaming smile on you, and you get that feeling. And then the next step, Atma Nivedanam, in order to be complete, the last step, what God does is He asks you to come near Him. Samyak Abhivantitaihi. Come near Him. Samyak, closer to Him. And once you come closer to Him, you just lose yourself, because you are in the glorious circle of God. You are closer to Him. You look at Him. You don't want to look anywhere else. Such is the beauty and captivating nature of God. Then He says, don't worry, all your sorrows are over. All your fears are over. You don't have to worry about anything. The fact that you have come, you have gained an entry into this place is actually recognizing that you are a pure soul now. You are ready to be in this world ever hereafter. That's what it is. But you still have some fear, didn't you? Yes, I have. How do you know that? Sadhva. Adhyanta sadhvasa vinayabham vanataha. Sadhvasa. Fear. That fear, what kind of fear is that? Out of respect. Out of respect, you have a kind of a fear.
Reverence.
That's right. High degree of reverence, fear that you have. And that fear is fine. But you don't have to have that as well. You have to start liking me. You have to be with me. You have to start liking me like every other mukta that is assembled here. Right? And thus, once he says that and gives the Bhagavat Sparsam, which has been not provided to you for a long time because you have been separated from him for so long. Now he gives that Bhagavat Sparsam by placing his feet on your head. The Bhagavat Sparsam, once it is done, the Atma Nivedanam becomes complete. Right? Until then, it's the process, and the process gets completed. Once the Bhagavat Sparsam comes, then we say, yes, everything is complete now. I don't have to worry about anything anymore. Down on earth, my generations and generations of future generations, my great-great-grandchildren, they are all pursuing the worldly matter, but I have nothing to do with them. No attachment. Nothing. I'm all one. And I'm always thinking of this, and that's the servitude that I'm looking for. Nothing more, nothing less. If you ask many of these Westerners, they don't have an idea about what they are living for. They say, yeah, we've got to live because we've got to earn money, we've got to survive, and if we want, we get married, if we don't want, we just partner, and we just go along. and if you don't like, we'll just get separated, go get married again, or go into another relationship. What's the purpose? Are you an animal? Don't you have some senses, that extra sense that God has given you? Don't you have a purpose in life? That's why some of them actually come back and say, oh, I don't know why I'm doing all this. What's the goal of life? That's when we say there is God. Christianity keeps telling me all those kind of things. But there is a difference, a big difference. When I told some of our own Bhagavatas that there is a big difference. Our Dharma, Hinduism is a big broad name. Vaishnavism is a religion. Within Vaishnavism, we are living a life that is far more complete than anybody else, even in the religious matter. How do you say that? Because it is more comprehensive than Christianity. How? Simple. Is there any other form described in Christianity, in Bible, about God? Is there a form provided for Him? No. Is there a character attached to Him? No. There is only one character that is attached constantly, grace of God. Right? And that's being spelled out in several areas throughout the Bible. You don't have anything, but let us look at this Varupa, Rupa, Guna, Visheshika. How does he look? How does he feel? He has 4 arms spreading all the way, lengthening all the way up to the calf muscles. Right? We've got these descriptions as well. And we've got the description of what he wears, what kind of mold he has got. Srivatsam, Srivatsa Kaustuva, Muktadama, Udarabandana, Kanchi Guna, Nupuradibihi, Atyanta Sukasparshaihi. We've got the descriptions of all these kind of things. We've got to go to that extent. And Gunam, whole lot of description, 16 Gunas, Kalyana Gunam. You've got thousands of Kalyana Gunam. He's not Nirgunam, he's a Sakuna Brahman. Not a Nirguna Brahman. There is a form, there is a character, there is a Swarupam attached to him. And such is the kind of comprehensive display. And the Vedas are our primary source document, Agamas, for us. All the glory goes to our Srimad Brahmana, Acharya, who has given us this kind of a description. So in 2 big ways we differ from the Western world. Western thinking. One, the pseudo-scientific thinking, that they think that there is nothing beyond this observable universe and we don't know what is there. But they are also finding the latest discovery of the Nobel Prize that has been given to Brian Schmitz is for understanding or providing a new understanding that universe is ever expanding. Come on, this has been not there time immemorial and given all these things. And we are talking about Sapta Avaranam, beyond this universe. And all the descriptions have been provided to us, and therefore it's far more complete. Number 1. Number 2, it is the Triguna Visheshaka of God has been very clearly spelled out. And both of them clearly try and tell us how distinctively we are superior in our thinking compared to the Western world. And thanks all to the glorious Acharya, Mahacharyan, Swami Embarmanar, Srimad Ramanuja. Iti Srimad Ramanuja Virachitam, Vaikunta Gadhyam Samapta. Thanks for listening. Please.
When you talk about Sridharan, now Gadhyam, when you say that most of us do Gadhyam in the morning and with the Pratakas and the Vandana, is the provision given by the Purvacharyas, or that if we can't do Madhyam during the working hours, can we do Madhyam in the morning and can we do Madhyam during the Sandhya Vandana time? But my question is that is this provision given by the Purvacharyas, or is it given provision in the scriptures? That how we justify it?
Okay, very good question. The scriptures do not say this. Purvacharya, and more than anything else, Prakritam Acharya of Matam, like Akopila Matam, Andavan Ashramam, and they all suggest that it is much better than leaving it. Much better to do that in the morning than not doing it at all. So it is more Acharya, their perception about this to suit the modern day, right? The pressures that we are into. And it is their grace and karuna that we are able to use this as a kind of a lenient advantage that we have. And it is not spelled out in the scriptures to the best of my knowledge.
Can I add something?
Yes,
I'm from as you know, I'm not what you are showing is actually different in my view. But my point of view is already Kala, Theta, Prayachitra, Gadhyam is there.
Yeah.
As even Gadhyam itself is there.
Yeah.
So there is somebody, we will see there itself given.
Yeah.
That's why we will not look for something else.
Yeah.
There itself is there, we do one more and Kala, Theta, Prayachitra, Gadhyam is there.
So we make it regular.
But if you change your norm,
Yeah. Fair enough.
so it's a not separate proof is required.
Prabhu, but what prohibited us to do Sandhya Vandana in suit or sitting in office? Madhya. What is the prohibition? Like,
No, nothing. No prohibition at all. We can do it. But only thing is, we have to have a place. We have to sanctify ourselves, purify ourselves, washing our feet, washing our all these things. So it's an individual's choice. I do not see anything wrong. But all that I can say is, as long as we do it, that's the most important thing. And do it with perseverance. Do it with systematic approach, so that after many years, we might start to relate much more with God than what we are doing at the moment. That's the whole objective. But very important question. Thank you.
thanks, sir.
Welcome.
So, Jai Sridharan, we have a wonderful lecture from Sridharan Swamiji. It is our Acharya's blessings we are conducting these programs. This next 18 months we are going to conduct these lectures. Next month, the third week, Sunday, we'll have another lecture on Acharya Bhakti by the Swamiji. Okay. So please come to the point. And all this is happening because of Acharya's blessings. This is because of Ramanujacharya's blessings. It is happening for all of us. We have to pay our respects to Bhagavad Ramanujacharya. Bhagavad Ramanuja's 1000-year celebrations we are doing in a big way with Swamiji's people. This is not our respect to Ramanujacharya. It is Perumal's respect to Ramanujacharya. It is happening. We are only instruments for that one. So it is a big project Swamiji is planning. Our Chinagaya Swamiji. It is 800 crores project. It's the project. I had an opportunity to meet Swamiji recently. Swamiji said the project cost started $200 million, but it went up to $800 million. Swamiji says the same word. The project cost may go anything. It is Perumal's wish, not our wish. Project will happen. Only thing is what I believe is anybody can donate to this project. Somebody can donate 800 crores, but Swamiji doesn't want that one. Every Vaishnava in the world should donate something as a Kainkaryan to this one. Then you'll ask, who is the Vaishnava? Wherever Vishnu lives, that place is called Vaishnava. So if there is any, who is non-Vaishnava? Wherever Vishnu is not there, that is non-Vaishnava. But Vishnu is there everywhere. Vishnu, he is occupied every place. But the only thing is the recognition, whether he is there or not. Whoever recognizes, we are calling Vishnuvas. Everybody can contribute. So Swamiji says, how we can contribute? It can be 1,000 cents, 1,000 rupees, or $1,000. It can be anything. In the name of 1,000, you can contribute. That itself is our respect to Swami Ramanujacharya. We are participating in the Perumal's activity. Please contribute to that one. And I suggest your friends also to contribute to that. That is what I want to say. Jai Sridharan. Thank you.
Can I add just one more thing? What Ramanuja says is not only money. The information was 1,000 books are being translated to many languages, 5 to 6 languages. So not only money, we can contribute to review the works there are also technical side, what time is required, and if anyone is interested, they can, if they want to render any expertise, their technical expertise, that is all welcome. And many ways of skydiving can be done.
And also, we've already published on books, so many books are there on Bhagavad Ramanujacharya. If you want to know more about Ramanujacharya, you can get those books, and by writing something, that is also available in our, please contact me.
We will be finishing the program with something right, so I'll play this.
Vishnu Paramam Padakam Pujavachyanti Suraya Dvi Vatakshananam Natveprado Vanya Oja Kravagam Dasamindane Vishnu Yam Paramam Padam கடல் கடைந்த மாலவனை கேசவனை திங்கள் திருமுகத்து செழியாசிரியை அந்த கொலை உணவாற்றை அடிமுதுமை பைப்பவான் கண்டறியல் பட்டவரானோடு சொன்ன சங்கத்தமிழ் மாலை புலந்தமாமே இங்கே பலசைப்பாரி என்பவர்களோர் செங்கல் திருமுகத்து செல்வ திருமாலார் எங்கும் திருவருள் பெற்று திருவருள்வாய் வங்கக் கடல் கடைந்த மாலவனை கேசவனை திங்கள் திருமுகத்து செழியாசிரியை அந்த கொலை உணவாற்றை அடிமுதுமை பைப்பவான் கண்டறியல் பட்டவரானோடு சொன்ன சங்கத்தமிழ் மாலை புலந்தமாமே இங்கு பலசைப்பாரி என்பவர்களோர் செங்கல் திருமுகத்து செல்வ திருமாலார் எங்கும் திருவருள் பெற்று பல்லாயிரத்தாண்டு அறகோடி நூறாயிரம் நல்லாண்டு கோடி மன்னார் அடியோகம் பல்லாண்டு அடிவாரின் சுரமாற்று பாடியும் பல்லாண்டு படிவோக்கும் ஆற்று செல்லும் பல்லாண்டு வாழ்